Diversity and inclusion is something which we take extremely seriously.
My name's Lee West. I'm 46 years old, an Army veteran, and I came in touch with the combined healthcare roughly around 2010, I think was the first contact. I left the Army in 2000. I joined at 16, so I'd done 10 years when I left at 26. I was very lucky to be offered a good job, but I was looking because it was really depressing me and making me feel quite ill, because the job I was actually a combat medic, basically a paramedic, but trained for wartime, instead of dealing with things like depressive mood and old people, we were dealing with things like blast injuries and shotgun wounds and traumatic amputations and things. I'd got a lot of back problems because I'd had injuries during the Army, and also this, I didn't realise at the time, was PTSD. I went to the GP because I knew I had an issue long before I left the Army, but being in the Army, it's very difficult to bring it up and to talk about it with your colleagues or anybody. So, as the Army would say, it was soldier on. And when I came out, again, I was in denial, and I just kept putting it to the back of my mind. I kept having dips, sort of peaks and troughs of depressive moods and nightmares about things in the Army, one in particular. I had an incident, and I just felt, I don't want to go on, what's the point? So the GP sent me to the access team at the Harplands, and I was interviewed. I believe it was a social worker, if I remember rightly, but Martin Donlan was brought in as he's a veteran from the Navy, and he talked about a group that he was running at the time, and basically that's how it kind of started from there. I've been on Ward 2 3 times, I think, and on Ward 1 once, which was the most recent. But the staff, just amazing. You know, they deal with so many different types of illnesses, and there's so much going on. Right down from the domestic staff, doing the cleaning and things, and they're always extremely well mannered, and do you mind if, and knock on your door and things, and they're absolutely great. And then the care support workers, just ace. Love them to bits, the brill. The things they do, the ward activities and what have you. So after a while, I drifted away again, and it was only in 2017, late 2017, that I saw the GP and asked to be referred back to the Greenfields. The turning point for me definitely was having Jason Snape choose me or take me on or whatever. And I've never done it before. I don't know. There was just something about him. I don't know what it was, but I just absolutely broke. I was begging him to help me. I said, please help me. I was crying, and there was snot, and there was coughing, and then Jason had to get an extra pack of Kleenex, and it was really emotional, but at the same time, it was like getting something off my chest that I needed to. And he stood and he listened, or sat and he listened, and then he drew, another terrible drawing, but he drew a brain on the whiteboard. And this thing in the brain, and he pointed out the bits and why things work the way they do. And I was taking it all in, but I took a photograph of it, and I've still got the photograph on my phone. It's still there, and I still look at it now today. And I think that was the catalyst. And at the end of the meeting that day, I said, I promise you 100% effort from my side, if you'll please help me. And since then, he's been absolutely superb. We've had a number of instances, and he's never pushed me. He's always let it come out in his own time. I had a home worker, support worker called Anne Hill, and she was amazing. She worked so well with Jason, and because obviously they're conversing all the time about what's going on, the team that I had around me, I don't work with Anne anymore, I work with a chap called Dave, and again, he's superb if you need anything, or if you just need to call him. So the team, I can't fault the team at Greenfields, are fantastic, including the receptionist. Because the first few times I went, even the receptionist, it felt odd. But there was a young lady called Beth that worked behind reception, and she's moved on to something else. But the ladies that are there now, fabulous. They're so welcoming. They're so calm, so kind, so non-judgmental, and it makes a difference when your brain's going, you know, you're mental, you're going nuts, you know, you're not normal. And to be received like that makes a massive difference.
We're proud to be part of the NHS, the fairest, most efficient and most popular system of healthcare in the world. Here's just some examples of what's going on around the wider NHS this week. Really proud of the leading role we play in our local integrated care system Together We're Better. By working together in partnership with colleagues in the wider NHS, the care system, local government and the third sector, we achieve far more together than we can achieve alone. Here's just some examples of what's going on around our local system this week.
I'm very pleased to introduce to you our quality strategy. This is a key organisational strategy which describes the priorities and methodology for how we as an NHS Trust will continue to deliver services which aim to meet the needs of our local population over the coming years.
Following the CQC inspection of the Trust in 2016, we received a good rating and immediately launched our campaign towards outstanding. This set ourselves the aim of providing the highest quality clinical care and ensuring excellence in mental health and learning disability services. We sought to evidence this through our approach to achieving outstanding rating by the CQC, which we achieved in 2019.
We have bold plans for service transformation across a number of our services over the next 5 years. The NHS Long-Term Plan and Mental Health Implementation Plan set out significant investment in mental health services, and over the life of this strategy, we will shape the detail of what this means for us at a local level in North Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent.
Our quality strategy aims to support and deliver the local mental health implementation plan, recognise the importance of focusing on quality as the developments proposed within the mental health implementation plan are implemented. We intend to strengthen our culture of strong clinical leadership, and this will be critical to the successful implementation of this strategy. To ensure success, our clinical and management practice and behaviours will be focused on distributed leadership, multidisciplinary team working, continuous improvement, all with the core purpose of providing outstanding care for our service users and their families.
During 2020, more than ever before, the impact of COVID-19 has shone a light on the health inequalities which are experienced locally, nationally, and across the globe. A number of our communities have been disproportionately directly impacted by the virus and will also feel the wider impacts of the virus in relation to the mental health and well-being for years to come. Those with mental health conditions and learning disabilities have significantly poorer health and well-being outcomes than those of the general population, including complex physical health problems and earlier death. To be outstanding in all we do and how we do it, we must all fulfill a role in tackling these inequalities.
We aim to achieve the commitments of this quality strategy through harnessing the potential contained within our workforce, our service users and carers, to further embed quality and performance using our SPAR quality priorities each year of this life strategy to provide the best care they can. So, how are we going to do this?
We aim to be the provider of the highest quality mental health and learning disability services in the NHS. We will be relentless in our pursuit of identifying and reducing harm, including human, process and systemic errors which could cause harm to people. In mental health, this will also include self-harm and suicide.
We'll have clear cycles for reviewing the effectiveness and responsiveness of our service provision with key partners across health and social care, including, most importantly, service users and carers. Our clinical staff will provide interventions and care which is evidence-based and targeted to the population we serve. It will make use of the latest technology and innovation to ensure effectiveness. We'll provide care which is person-centred and responsive to people's needs and reflective of their beliefs, culture and spirituality.
Our approach to achieving consistently high quality has 4 key components. The first one, planning for quality. We will ensure that our clinical services meet the needs of our service users and population. We will ensure clinical practice is based upon the best evidence and innovative practice using our clinicians, service users, and local, regional and national networks.
We'll have a good assurance mechanisms, so we'll undertake periodic reviews using different things such as audit, internal insurance visits, peer reviews, and make sure that good care is being delivered in keeping with the terms of our CQC registration. We will identify and deliver actions to address any identified deficits.
The third, quality control. We will have effective operational management which will monitor performance and quality metrics in clinical services and intervene when necessary to ensure quality is maintained. This will include the use of safety huddles, team meetings, and reviewing quality as part of day-to-day business as usual.
And lastly, quality improvement. We'll use QI methodology to identify, test and implement changes required to tackle complex issues. This will involve all of our clinical teams, service users, working together with QI experts in close detail with those who understand the issues most.
We will have agreed processes and structures in all services, including community-based services, to ensure that safe staffing is in place to meet the needs of the people in our communities. We will have leadership development opportunities available to all clinical and managerial staff.
We will invest in staff to have pathways to further their knowledge, skills and careers. And we will make full use of technology to deliver outstanding care and support our staff to work effectively. We'll ensure the development of the new integrated care partnerships, our places, and primary care networks, which are our communities, are focused on quality as defined in this strategy.
The services which the Trust will provide in partnership will clearly reflect the needs of our communities. This will be empirically based on the evidence of need, and rationale of how we deliver these services will be based on what our people, both staff and service users, tell us. There will be integrated care pathways working across NHS, local government, citizens and voluntary, community and social enterprise organisations, delivering effective seamless care and treatment for our communities. We will work with our health and social care partners in our communities to identify and address health inequalities and have plans to address them.
And we will have multidisciplinary working between clinical and academic partners, including joint clinical academic roles with local universities, and all trust professional groups will be regularly publishing in academic journals. We will utilise various approaches to ensuring our services are sustainable and effective and efficient. We will use benchmarking data to challenge ourselves, identifying variation in our services when comparing ourselves with other organisations.
When identifying this variation, we'll have processes to interrogate, analyse and understand this variance to identify whether it's warranted or unwarranted variation. Where unwarranted variation exists, we will apply quality improvement methodology to drive process improvement, evidence change and spread good practice.
We'll undertake quality improvement assessments through the lens of our quality priorities, that is safe, personalised, accessible and recovery focused, to ensure that all aspects of quality are considered. And where possible, we will seek to improve quality in every organisational change process we make. We will use technology appraisals in redesigning our services to make sure that models of care incorporate innovation and enable us to respond to the needs of our communities.
Many thanks for taking the time to learn a little about our aims and ambitions for our quality strategy as we look beyond 2020.
I really look forward to hearing views and working with you all as our fantastic future unfolds.
At Combined, we celebrate our people and team's fantastic track record in securing achievements, awards and accolades. Here's our Chair, David Rogers, to introduce our next item.
Many thanks, Claire. As Claire said, at Combined Healthcare, we're always keen to celebrate the fantastic things that our people and teams do. Whether that's delivering brilliant, compassionate care, developing innovations and new services, or securing external or national recognition. One of my most pleasurable experiences each year is hosting our annual Reach Awards, our showcase event. But we don't just want to celebrate achievement once a year. We want to do it continually. And CTV is one way in which we're able to do so. I hope you enjoy this next item, which gives you just one further example of just how and why we are proud to be outstanding in all we do and how we do it.
I'm Vicky, I'm the ward manager of Ward 2 over at the Heartlands Hospital. We were nominated for our recovery book, which is a project that we've run over the last couple of years here on Ward 2, but rolled out across acute really, and it's a project that's based around patient engagement, reducing restrictive practice and getting people to own their care really. It's essentially a book that we've developed with co-production with the patients, and it covers admission right through to discharge, gets them to sort of get involved in their care planning and their risk assessments and their ward review. It's something that they can take away with them in the future, bring back on other admissions should they want to. We nominated it last year. We were shortlisted in the category for mental health last year and we were a finalist. However, we've progressed it from there. So we've rolled it across the acute wards and we've started to sort of embed it elsewhere as well. However, what we've done and what we saw really from last year when we first started the project to the last 12 months is that actually it's completely changed the culture of the ward really. We have a really positive culture now. We've broken them barriers between patient and staff, and we work in a very different proactive way. And actually I thought that needed to be recognised because the recovery book is essentially what got us there and getting everybody involved. So what we've started to do now is embed a recovery model that's based around the recovery book. So we resubmitted it actually into a different category and we've been shortlisted there. So we're now shortlisted this time for enhancing patient dignity and getting people involved in their care. We're actually only up against 4 other people this year, whereas we were up against 10 last year. And they have advised me that 75% of winners are actually previous entrants, so it's definitely ours this year. I think this year we're going to be focused on actually the work we've done around a model and getting the patient's feedback, and we're hoping to take a patient with us to London to present it, to give sort of first-hand experience on the book really. So yeah.
there's a big gap between the Ministry of Defence and the NHS. And I have, over the last few years, started to make steps towards bridging that, because I don't believe there should be a gap. And I do believe the reason my symptoms are as bad as they are, have been as bad as they are, is because the MOD, once somebody leaves, basically just say, well, if they've got a problem, it's the NHS's issue now. But the NHS isn't trained to deal with people that have seen active service. There's still plenty of people that won't come to the combined healthcare veterans because they don't believe you understand. You don't get it. You don't understand us. You don't get it. And they're the ones that are most likely probably to take their own lives, because things will just keep getting higher and higher and higher and higher in their brain, and sooner or later it overflows and bang. When you present as a veteran with mental health disorders, I believe you need to have a veteran who's had that similar sort of experience to talk to. Not just somebody who's served, but somebody who's had the mental health. When there's a new veteran that comes into one of our veteran centres, or that I come across through friends, I can help them, because I could start talking in military language, or I could start talking about things that happened to me and get them smiling and get them joking and tease bits of information out of them. And it makes them feel a little bit more accepted, because in a military mind, you're weak. If you've got mental health problems, if you've got an injury, whether it's a broken toe, spinal issues like I've got, PTSD like I've got, or fibromyalgia or anything, you're weak. I think investment in not veteran welfare so much, but in veteran communication maybe might be a good idea, because the diagnosis and things like that is obviously the doctor's department, but to get them to talk about it and to be able to put it into NHS terms needs somebody that's, one, lived it, and two, had the treatment for it and knows what works and what doesn't. Because one of the things that Jason's always done, and I admire him, and I know I keep going on about him, but he's like my big brother in that I admire him, because whenever I've talked about something in particular, he won't straight away say, "What, what's that? I don't quite understand." He'll let me carry on, and then he'll either ask me the question then, or he'll go away and he will revise it, or find it, search it. And next time he sees me, he's more of an expert on it than I am. And that's great, because that's all you need. You just need somebody who can talk your language and somebody who understands. The amount of times I've just massive relief, a massive big breath of relief, because he said something that I get, and how he explains it to me is brilliant. But I would like to thank the NHS as a whole, thank the board and everybody that works within the Combined Health Service, in particular those that I've mentioned, the staff, and everybody's just been amazing. And I think a lot of people perhaps will moan about certain things, but they forget about the good things. And the more we can bridge that gap between the military community, the veteran community in particular, and the NHS, the better. Because I don't think it's that far apart. I think it just needs some links in there to pull it in a little bit. And as the understanding gets better, I believe that I really want our trust to be the first to get a grip of it and really show everybody else, well, this is how we've done it and this is how it's done, and you can do this as well. Get the numbers of suicides and things regards PTSD and veterans, get it down. Let's get it down, and let's get a lot more people helped, because the help's out there. We just need to channel it and get people not just signposting in that, go, well, just go and speak to them, they'll help you, but hold their hand while they're doing it, go and do it with them. I think a lot of veterans feel that because they don't engage enough, they don't follow things through, and that's where it falls down.
Diversity and inclusion is something which we take extremely seriously. Patient and service user stories are just one way in which we get to hear the voice of those we serve. Here's our Executive Director of Nursing, Kenny Lang, to introduce our next item.
Many thanks, Claire. Hearing the experiences of our staff and service users, carers and their families, delivered by them in their own words, provides insights and knowledge in a way that goes beyond the mere printed word. We use stories at our trust board, our committees, internal and engagement events. We also use them extensively across the web, digital and social media platforms. And that includes, of course, here on CTV. If you have ideas of a staff, a service user and/or carer story, we need to hear it. Please get in touch with our patient experience facilitator or the comms team. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy the next item.
I'm Chiara Barbaro, and I first accessed a service in 2017 after I lost a baby in pregnancy. At the time, you weren't able to access the parent and baby unit until you were 20 weeks pregnant, which has now changed, and that is really good. So the first 20 weeks into my pregnancy were really hard, but my community midwife was really good, and she knew that I needed support because I really struggled to bond with baby, and I had flashbacks and nightmares of my loss constantly. So everything was ready for me. As soon as I got to 20 weeks, I was referred, actually even before I turned 20 weeks, to the parent and baby unit. And I still remember the first time I went to the coffee morning, because at the time there was no COVID around, so you could just go in really, and you didn't necessarily need to have a baby with you. You could go pregnant. And I remember meeting the nursery nurses at the time, and I met Nikki, who was the team leader of the parent and baby. And there was a lot of confusion at the start because of my struggles with my mental health at the time. I was in between services. I was in between the Sutherland Centre and the parent and baby, but I managed to get accepted by the parent and baby after they had the Tuesday MDT meeting, and so that was the start of my journey with them. I honestly don't think I would be here, and I don't just say it, to sound cheesy or anything like that. I wouldn't be here without them. And I think the incredible thing about a service like the parent and baby unit is that it's a whole team of people coming together and helping that mum and dad or partner as much as they possibly can. And it never, to me, I was with them from 20 weeks pregnant until my baby was 1, so that's a long time, and a bit after, actually. It never felt like I was a patient to them, never. And now I realised the amount of care that they put. And if you could see, like, even just pictures of me when I first accessed the coffee morning, and then when I got discharged, which was obviously very sad. I still remember, but obviously these things end and it's good. So feeling empowered by a team of ladies, it was only ladies at the time, that made me feel like I could take on that grief, because it was grief, 100%, accept it, not in a way of everything happens for a reason, which I didn't really like at the time, but I believe now. But how can we use that to develop something that you believe in? And for me, that was being there for others, helping others, just like they did with me. Yeah, so after David, my rainbow boy, so rainbow babies are babies born after loss because they give you hope after the storm. After David was born, me and Nikki looked into setting up something, and once he turned 1, and obviously I got discharged by the parent and baby unit, I was well enough to look into that, and that October we had the first face-to-face meeting with mums, and that's still going as of today. So yeah, it was quite intense, the support I had from the parent and baby.
We're proud to be part of the NHS, the fairest, most efficient and most popular system of healthcare in the world. Here's just some examples of what's going on around the wider NHS this week. integrated care system, together we're better. By working together in partnership with colleagues in the wider NHS, the care system, local government and the third sector, we achieve far more together than we can achieve alone. Here's just some examples of what's going on around our local system this week.
Step On is the IPS service for North Staffordshire Combined Healthcare Trust and Midlands Foundation Partnership Trust. We support anybody who wants to work and is involved in secondary mental health services.
We work with people generally on a one-to-one basis, so it allows us time to get to know people and to find out perhaps some of their barriers to employment.
And it's all about what support that person needs and about how we're going to support you to move on.
I've always felt guilty about not working, and I just thought I want to do something, I want to change my life.
My doctors told me that there was this programme that could help me find a job that suited me.
To be able to get into a job and then furthermore get off the benefits and say, thank God, that's a stress that I don't have to deal with now.
We're starting from the very beginning, find out about them. Let's look for things that interest them, that spark something in them. We start looking at confidence building, interviewing skills, CV writing, just getting them used to kind of looking for work.
At my age, I never had to do a CV, so, you know, that was a big thing in itself.
They actually gave me proper practical steps and advice as well as interview techniques, you know, that actually work.
Helen met me before the interview and helped me prepare for it, so I didn't feel quite so daunted by the thought of it.
They've helped me control my anxiety, bring it to a level. We've explored why I got anxious and what we could do to overcome those times.
The improvement in somebody's mental health from doing something that is meaningful is absolutely amazing.
They give you the confidence to apply for jobs that can keep you in meaningful employment. You reach your potential.
They've got some responsibility, they've got routine, they're earning their own money, and you see mental health services starting to take a step back because they can see this person is improving.
My hours have increased already. I passed my probation period. It's been great. It's just helped me so much.
After 3 months of doing the job, I've been discharged, and I never thought I would be discharged. I don't feel worthless anymore.
Me and my support worker, we still meet up for coffees, we still talk on a regular basis.
I always feel like I can go to her and say, this has happened, I really need your help.
They don't give up on you just because you've got a job. That's one of the most brilliant things about Step On.
To be able to have somebody with them that supports and believes in them can help them see that there is hope and there is a future.
I'd definitely say that they're the place to go because they're just there to give you support, and they do 100%. They're brilliant. It's just nice to feel like I'm heading somewhere now and I'm in a job that I love.
I feel as if my life is just starting again, and if I hadn't been referred to Step On, I would have never have had that.
At Combined, we celebrate our people and team's fantastic track record in securing achievements, awards and accolades. Here's our chair, David Rogers, to introduce our next item.
Many thanks, Claire. As Claire said, at Combined Healthcare, we're always keen to celebrate the fantastic things that our people and teams do. Whether that's delivering brilliant, compassionate care, developing innovations and new services, or securing external or national recognition. One of my most pleasurable experiences each year is hosting our annual Reach Awards, our showcase event. But we don't just want to celebrate achievement once a year. We want to do it continually. And CTV is one way in which we're able to do so. I hope you enjoy this next item, which gives you just one further example of just how and why we are proud to be outstanding in all we do and how we do it.
My lady took a phone call. I'd just come down for my breakfast And she come running downstairs and said to me, Laura's on the phone. That's Hilda's daughter. And I said, Laura's on the phone. She says, no, sit down, be calm. I said, what's up? She said, Hilda's passed away. I just emptied. Everything just went out of me.
And a mutual friend told me, sent me a message by instant messaging, and yeah, it just made me feel very shocked.
I think actually I was in the office. I'd been contacted by a colleague to say that she'd passed away.
Hilda was very enthusiastic. She was very enthusiastic about or anything to do with patients, service users and families, and she was very determined that they would get the best, and she worked really hard to ensure that they did get the best. So she put a lot of work in over the years.
I used to go around doing the wards, visiting the wards. And I'd come back in, write the reports in the office. They'd be banging on the door all the time. I said, she'd go and she'd speak to them, users. Or nurses who got problems. She was just the same with them.
She was generous when people deserved praise, but she was also quite challenging and determined as well.
She was a phenomenal character. I've been here about 5 years now, and I know she was well known and well experienced, and actually scared me slightly the first few times I met her.
She was never shy in coming forward, but if she came to me, I knew there was something that I needed to go and look at and investigate further. For Hilda, she was always very keen when any new service users came on board for training, that she really, what I would call, mothered them, took them under their wing, and really would promote what we were trying to achieve and work very closely with us.
She always used to say to me, you're a dozy bug, you are. I said, what? She says, you bloody say things, wind people up. I said, don't. She says, you do. She says, you're a bloody militant.
She could be fun. Hilda could be fun, and she always seemed cheerful when you were talking to her. If you were having a conversation with her, even if she wasn't perhaps so well, she would never say, I'm not so well. She'd be saying, oh, I'm all right.
Hilda's passion when she was doing a place, and she would used to say, Anne, I'm just checking here, and that would be, she would look on the inside of the radiators, and I would be having my fingers crossed thinking, please make sure that they are clean inside. But that was always her pet area, and she would stand over looking down to make sure that those inside of the radiators were clean.
There was a sign I was slightly uncomfortable with in a corridor once at Hartlands that said that it was, the way it was worded was about having a student in the consulting room with you, and I mentioned it to Hilda. Said, oh, leave it with me. And next time I went, the sign had gone.
She said, I've had this idea, I got it from somewhere, she'd been reading it, something. And she said, it's called acronym bingo. And we went and we were sitting there, and I was right now, I got about 9. And suddenly Hilda said, bingo. And I said, pardon? And Hilda said, bingo. And what Dave Peters says, what do you mean, Hilda, bingo? I've got 10 acronyms here that have been mentioned in the last 2 hours. And I'd like you to tell me what they are, please. And Dave Pearson said, well, I'll tell you after. She said, no, please. And he went through. And he says, are you going to be doing this every meeting? No, this has been accepted. And she said, oh, yes. There'll be more. She said, there'll be more than 2 of us then. He said, I'll try and get it stopped. And he did.
Well, Hilda was special because she was a very warm person and quite unassuming, but underneath that she had a core of steel.
So she will really be missed, and obviously that contact is missed, and the support really that she gave in promoting the benefits of doing the place inspections with our service users will be missed.
It's a great loss because Hilda had such experience, and it's something that's built up over years and decades, and that is not easily replaced.
A lot, but I do miss her. Yeah.
Hilda meant everything to service users, volunteers, staff, management. She meant everything to everybody. And the light's gone out. A beautiful light has left with her.
Patient and service user stories are just one way in which we get to hear the voice of those we serve. Here's our Executive Director of Nursing, Kenny Lang, to introduce our next item.
Many thanks, Claire. Hearing the experiences of our staff and service users, carers and their families, delivered by them in their own words, provides insights and knowledge in a way that goes beyond the mere printed word. We use stories at our trust board, our committees, internal and engagement events. We also use them extensively across the web, digital and social media platforms. And that includes, of course, here on CTV. If you have ideas of a staff, a service user and/or carer story, we need to hear it. Please get in touch with our patient experience facilitator or the comms team. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy the next item.
And I am a fighter, which you probably understand, you probably got by now, and I phoned, and I know a lot of people that don't have that strength or energy, or I don't know, and I feel for people like that, and I feel that it's on us, it's on me. Just because I managed to access it doesn't mean that I forgot about all the people that didn't. I wouldn't say I wasn't happy with the Sutherland. Everyone was really nice to me. Like I said, my therapist was really good. We worked really well together. She managed to make me better at the time, but it was a plaster, and no one thought we were going to have a pandemic. With the pandemic, I crashed again, and it was tough, but I've been accepted now, and yeah. This trust, it came across as a family, as it wasn't me and them, because at the time I wasn't a peer support worker, I was still a service user, because I was still using, and the staff, within the parent and baby, definitely. I'd say the whole mental health support I've had, which I've had a lot, always came across as approachable to me, and I think building up from that, it is quite precious when you're a service user. It is very important, that first contact, that first phone call. I've never come across anybody that wasn't welcoming, even when I was rejected. Eventually they took the time to explain why I was rejected, and what they thought, why then I was accepted. Actually, I was explained why I was accepted, and that I should have been accepted earlier, and they weren't really afraid to apologize. So that's another big thing, I think. So I know that the trust are working hard already to liaise with charities, but there's definitely a lot more that can be done, and I think that's where the peer support workers, not just myself, I know that there's more vacancies out there, and actually they've hired a peer support worker recently for maternity. I think that's where the peer support can really come in. So when I studied, revised for the interview, more leaves, these came across to me quite strongly, and I remember thinking, not just because I would have loved to get the job because I want to be a peer support worker, but in this trust, I wanted to be one. I remember reading about being the only outstanding mental health service of 2 in the UK, is it right? I forgot now anyway. And that struck me again, and I wasn't surprised. When I talk to some, ladies that live in different places in the UK, and I tell them what we do here, they are quite shocked in a good way. I thought that, for example, in London, services were much better, but they're not, at least in the trust where some of my mums are. There's nothing like this. So sometimes I say, just move to Stoke. We'll take you on. So it is, I am very, very, very proud to be part of it, and I cannot wait to get going and you know, improve it.
Our Spotlight section is our chance to shine a light on individuals, teams and their achievements and developments. We're really proud of our people at Combined and the amazing things they do, day in and day out. Here's our Medical Director, Dr. Dennis Okolo, to introduce our next item.
Many thanks, Claire. As Claire said, at Combined Healthcare, we want to shine a spotlight on the excellent and compassionate care we provide. I hope you enjoy this next item, which gives you just one further example of just how and why we are proud to be outstanding in all we do and how we do it.
So I'm Dr. Becky Chubb. I'm an old age psychiatrist and I work as a locum consultant here. So I've been with Combined about 5 years now, and I'm a little bit unusual in that I've literally gone full circle, and by that I mean gone round the world and come back to Stoke-on-Trent, which I never thought would happen, but I'm very glad it has. So I trained as a junior doctor in the area, and I did a job in the trust as a Foundation Year 2 doctor. And then life took me to New Zealand. I've done different jobs. I worked as a GP for a while, and then when I returned to the UK, this was the place that I had the fondest memories of, really. So I got in touch and managed to get a job here again. People should come and work here principally because of the culture that we have here. It's a small trust, but it's a really, really friendly trust. As doctors, we move around the country, we work in lots of different trusts, and I can't remember working in a different area where I might bump into my director or medical director in a day and say hello. And it's really friendly when people, you know, call you and they may be calling you to ask you to do something. They also ask you if you're okay, and they genuinely mean it. They're not saying, you know, hey, how are you, just to get onto the task. They genuinely mean, how are you? When was the last time you took some annual leave? And I think over the last couple of years in particular, do you know what, that means a lot. So we're in Stoke-on-Trent, in Staffordshire, and I think Staffordshire is one of those areas that, unless you perhaps have lived here or have a relative here or reason for coming, it's maybe not a county that you perhaps know much about. You might have been to Alton Towers perhaps or something like that, but otherwise you may not know Staffordshire. But it's a fantastic county. It's got beautiful, beautiful countryside and green areas, which are just absolutely lovely. It takes me about 15 minutes to get to work, and I live in a village that's very rural and green and beautiful. And it makes, especially now we're all working from home a little bit more than we used to, it makes that so easy for me that I only have to get in the car and drive for 15 minutes to get to the hospital. I think, make a phone call, come and have a conversation with us, come and see if what I'm talking about lives up to reality, because I guarantee it will. We're a really friendly bunch. We would love to have a conversation with anybody that's wanting to come and work here. It's a great trust, and like I say, I've worked in a lot of different places and I have no reason to move anywhere else. I'm very happy here, so come and have a conversation.
Diversity and inclusion is something which we take extremely seriously. Our Spotlight section is our chance to shine a light on individuals, teams and their achievements and developments. We're really proud of our people at Combined and the amazing things they do, day in and day out. Here's our Medical Director, Dr. Dennis Okolo, to introduce our next item.
Many thanks, Claire. As Claire said, at Combined Healthcare, we want to shine a spotlight on the excellent and compassionate care we provide. I hope you enjoy this next item, which gives you just one further example of just how and why we are proud to be outstanding in all we do and how we do it.
The Darwin Centre is Combined's regional 15-bedded inpatient unit, providing specialist mental health services for young people and their families. This week, the Darwin Centre gained a new colleague, a 16-week-old Springer Spaniel puppy called Kiara, who has been introduced to the centre by her owner and CAM psychiatry consultant, Mike Foster. Kiara is the centre's new emotional support dog, and it was her first day on Thursday. The centre now has 2 support dogs, including another of Mike's dogs called Rupert, who has been a reliable presence at the centre, but he has sadly been diagnosed with kidney failure. Kiara will bring some younger energy, and it definitely looked like she was settling in already when we went to visit her and Mike. Kiara's role will be to facilitate conversation between Mike and service users on the ward, giving them a boost of self-esteem and oxytocin when playing with the puppy. Mike spoke of the research behind having an emotional support dog and the benefits it has revealed. Based on the evidence in research, as well as the service evaluation with our other emotional support dog, Rupert, we know that having a dog at the Darwin Centre can be deeply beneficial for both the staff and service users. By the time we visited in the late morning, Kiara had already met one service user at the centre who had a very positive interaction with the friendly puppy, and Mike explained how the dog would be based in the office initially, getting used to the centre and then move on to the ward in the coming weeks as she adjusts. Kiara has clearly been a welcome addition to the centre. Catherine Smith is the ward manager who seemed delighted with her newest team member. We've noticed that having an emotional support dog on the ward enhances engagement from the service users. Kiara brings warmth to the unit and puts a smile on the faces of everybody here. We look forward to following Kiara as she grows up and seeing how she provides a calming, affectionate atmosphere to our service users at the Darwin Centre.
Patient and service user stories are just one way in which we get to hear the voice of those we serve. Here's our Executive Director of Nursing, Kenny Lang, to introduce our next item.
Many thanks, Claire. Hearing the experiences of our staff and service users, carers and their families, delivered by them in their own words, provides insights and knowledge in a way that goes beyond the mere printed word. We use stories at our trust board, our committees, internal and engagement events. We also use them extensively across the web, digital and social media platforms. And that includes, of course, here on CTV. If you have ideas of a staff, service user and/or carer story, we need to hear it. Please get in touch with our patient experience facilitator or the comms team. In the meantime, I hope you enjoy the next item.
Okay, I'm Adebayo Olajide, originally from Nigeria, and 41 years of age now. I was struggling a bit, and I was referred to the trust to get some help from there. I was referred, and I spoke to a couple of people there, counselling and people to help and understand your situation and how you feel, and with a view to providing some sort of relief or solution to that. I did struggle physically, so alongside my physical health, challenges with the mental health and having to worry about things, mobility issues, and pain-free, because sometimes the pain also can contribute to low mood and feeling down every time, like you don't know what to do again, but I do see consultants helping with that to manage my situation and my physical well-being. Basically, it was just really struggling with almost everything, low mood and always thinking, and I was a bit nervous about situation then, because it felt like nothing was going the right way or nothing was working. So medically, I did seek some help to see what could be done, and yeah, that was when I was referred to the Hanley, the psychological therapist, and that did improve my situation, because I had that sense of reassurance, like yeah, I wanted a sense of belonging, and yeah, I was just reassured, like it's not you, it's just the way things are. Because I was blaming myself for almost everything not working well for me, like I wasn't doing my best, but really and truly there wasn't anything else to do or to put in. I put in my best to things, but it wasn't just working the way we expected to, and waiting for so long to get an answer from things I've been processing, and you know, he wasn't feeling right. And I did enjoy like about the therapy was because I had this one-on-one section with the therapist, and I had to express myself and my concern and the way things were, and seeking solution or meaning to things. And he did help by reassuring me and making me understand sometimes in life things happen like that, but it's not really because you're not trying your best, so you're not doing the best you can, but it's just the way life is. So that really did help me take that burden off my shoulder, blaming myself or judging myself like I haven't done enough. So yeah, the therapist was just then it was something I looked forward to every week, going to see him and expressing myself and understanding my view, my point of view. And I think he did help by listening and providing support of some sort there, and reassurance. Yeah, the treatment impacted positively because it's made me self-judgmental, not to criticize myself too much about or worrying about what I could have done better, what if, like struggling mentally, just thinking I haven't done enough. It's just, you know, the reassurance when you need some sort of relief from things or understanding of things the way they are or going. So yeah, they did support me to just make me feel better and a lot calmer than I was before going into the therapy. Well, I would say genuinely, I think it's just, I understand the trust might be stretched, but what I think they can do better is just, you know, let's say the time frame for the waiting list for, because it took a while before I could be saying that, but because sometimes when you seeking answers to things, you tend to be restless and anxious and nervous, and they just wanted to know exactly what's going on or how you can get help. So I think just getting that time frame right might prevent a lot of danger from people, because people can possibly self-harm because when they stressed and nervous and needing help or wanting support and they don't get it, they might be frustrated to do things. So yeah, I think just the time frame might help keep the service going. And yeah, because you never know how much people you might be keeping alive by doing this therapy, and people that want to be listened to or need help from people like yourselves. I think, I think the board should be considerate about this service and let it roll and go on, so they can help other people as well to have a sense of belonging and a bit of sanity into their lives and feel better. So that's how I feel.
We're proud to be part of the NHS, the fairest, most efficient and most popular system of healthcare in the world. Here's just some examples of what's going on around the wider NHS this week. Really proud of the leading role we play in our local integrated care system Together We're Better. By working together in partnership with colleagues in the wider NHS, the care system, local government and the third sector, we achieve far more together than we can achieve alone. Here's just some examples of what's going on around our local system this week.
My name is Sarah Wanjiko and I work for the Highbury Musa team as a senior mental health nurse. I'm also the Enrich Network Lead, which stands for Equality Network for Race, Inclusion and Culture Heritage. I came to Combined Healthcare from Essex after I moved to Stoke-on-Trent in 2020. When I arrived, it was during COVID, and although I got the job in the Highbury Musa team, I worked for Crisis Care Centre for 6 months because my team was working from home. On the first day, I felt very welcomed, and the Crisis Care Centre manager supported me to get everything in place from my badge to registering my car for parking. It was a tricky start to the role for a lot of reasons. A few days later, 2 ladies who were on annual leave when I started came and introduced themselves, and they were very supportive, and then I started to feel part of the wider team. I would say after that experience, I enjoyed my role a lot more, and everyone was very supportive when I joined the Highbury Musa team in 2021. In 2021, I started thinking about my career progression, and I saw an advert in the news round about the Developing Aspirant Readers program, which interested me because it was about developing my management skill. I applied and I got a lot of support from Leslie Ford, the Diversity and Inclusion Lead, with that application. And then during the course, I was supported by people like Zoe Grant, our Deputy Director of Nursing and Equality, who has supported me with the course, and also Kenny Lang, Director of Nursing and AHP, who has introduced me to people who I would not have met before. Now I have finished the course, I have gained a lot of confidence, and I feel I am able to apply to higher roles which I could not have done before the course. I'm looking forward to the future with the Combined Healthcare.
Hi, my name is Jalibani, Associate Director of Operations. I'm very proud to say I'm here today to share my experience of working within the NHS. There are so many roles that one can actually venture into. I give myself as an example. I was a geologist, moved on to go on to public health, worked in sexual health, accident prevention, and other public health interventions. I then moved on to working in ops management in Newcastle, and also worked in commissioning, moved on to working in medical directorate, and then moved on to setting up services for the COVID-19, the COVID Response Center and vaccination centers. Now, it's not easy being Black to progress. There are so many challenges and issues that you have to actually deal with, and so you need to find it within yourself to identify the ways to actually progress. I am very proud to have joined Combined Healthcare Trust, where these opportunities are being presented to anyone who's willing to actually take up these opportunities. We are a diverse team from senior leadership all the way to the people that are frontline workers. So it is a place where we recognize that diversity is not an issue. Diversity creates a very strong and responsive and appropriate team that is representative of the community that we serve.
My name is Hector Musonza, and I work as the Practice Education and Preceptorship Lead at Combined. My journey with the Trust started in 2016 as a bank staff nurse. I then left the Trust and came back in 2020 in the role of Senior Mental Health Practitioner with the CAST team. Whilst working for the CAST team, the roles of Bain Practice Education Facilitator was advertised, and members of my team encouraged me to apply. I was reluctant, despite having worked in a similar role previously, partially due to a lack of confidence and fear of working in an unfamiliar environment as someone from an ethnic minority background. I was successful in my application for the role and started as a BAME practice education facilitator in 2021, which was a role I worked in for about 2 to 3 months before I was encouraged by senior staff to apply for the practice education lead role when it became vacant. Having worked in the trust for almost 2 years, I have benefited greatly from staff networking and allyship from the CAST team and in my practice education lead role. I never felt excluded or alienated due to my ethnicity, partially due to having colleagues who acted as an ally for me and encouraged me to take opportunities and new roles within the trust. Although this pushed me out of my comfort zone, Combined have helped me with my confidence to grow and to try out opportunities I wouldn't have without the support and allyship from senior management. From my experience, Combined, I have focused on supporting people from an ethnic minority background to not only secure jobs at the trust, but to progress into more senior roles and to really feel included as part of the wider team. Thank you.
My name is Lincoln Gombeza. I'm a newly qualified learning disability nurse and recent KIL Student of the Year. I started with Combined in 2019 as a student learning disability nurse, and I've had an amazing experience so far. My slogan for this year is Overcoming Obstacles, Celebrating Resilience, which underscores the challenges I faced as a student nurse during the pandemic, but also highlights the way I needed to act to succeed in my career. Whilst working at Combined, I've been supported by senior management staff, especially as part of the Enriched Student Interest Group meetings. The practice education team has been instrumental in helping me to feel part of the trust, and the inclusive attitude of the teams I've worked in has been a bonus. Being part of the Enriched Group opened an opportunity for me to volunteer as the communications lead for the Chief Nursing Officer, Chief Midwifery Officer, Black Minority and Ethnic Strategic Advisory Group, which is an opportunity I wouldn't have access to without the Enriched Group at Combined. My advice to someone from an ethnic minority background who wants to join Combined would be to believe in yourself, work hard, use the networks that the trust provides, and to support your career journey.
Happy Black History Month from Combined Healthcare Trust.
Our Spotlight section is our chance to shine a light on individuals, teams and their achievements and developments. We're really proud of our people at Combined and the amazing things they do, day in and day out. Here's our Medical Director, Dr. Dennis Okolo, to introduce our next item.
Many thanks, Claire. As Claire said, at Combined Healthcare, we want to shine a spotlight on the excellent and compassionate care we provide. I hope you enjoy this next item, which gives you just one further example of just how and why we are proud to be outstanding in all we do and how we do it.
I'm Anne Melville, Head of Facilities. We're delighted that we are able to this year join in the celebrations for the National Estates and Facilities Day on the 15th of June. This is the first one that's actually taken place, but in recognition of all the good work that our services do. At Combined, we've got some fantastic staff within our teams. Some of them have been with us for weeks, some of us for months, and some of us have been with us for decades. And they have really shone through, and they shine through on every day and when they deliver the services to us. I'd just like to introduce you to some of the fantastic team that we have got.
Right, my name's Bev and I'm a catering assistant at the Harplands Hospital.
I'm Gaynor, I work for Support Services.
Yeah, my name's Simon Burke. I work for Serco. I'm a porter.
Hello, my name's Wes Holdcroft and I'm the Estates Operations Manager.
Hello, my name's Mark Foxhall. Work for Estates and Facilities and Minor Works Officer.
Hello, my name's Matthew Cadman. I'm an electrician, technical electrician for the Estates Department.
I work for Serco and we sort the food out for the patients on the wards.
Helping out everywhere, maintaining cleanliness standards and just making sure everything's kept in with the PPE and everything's kept right and it all goes out correctly.
For me, I notice estates, and other people should notice estates, and it's about the awareness. When you approach a building, you can see it, the grounds, the gardens, the tidiness as you go through the reception door, the cleanliness of it, the bright colours, the warm welcome. Obviously then we interact with the clinical staff, but generally speaking, the estates, the infrastructure, it's in a good state of repair. Like I say, it's warm and welcoming, and obviously that's what we pride ourselves on.
My job title is entailed in taking clean linen, picking dirty linen up, doing pharmacy, all sorts basically, moving furniture, helping the trust out as much as we possibly can.
Because if we didn't keep everywhere clean, we'd be in a bigger mess than we would have been. In the pandemic, it would have been, keeping everywhere clean and sanitised and making sure that, it's clean for people and it's sanitised right.
Basically, obviously, when we take stuff on the wards, we have contact with patients, they speak to us, they say hello, nurses, doctors say hello to us. We get complimented sometimes on the job that we do by them. So it's enjoyable, and obviously having contact with the patients as well, they know exactly what we do, and they say thank you, and happy customers.
It was nice to come into the NHS, to be nice and clean and dry for once. Working with all the different trades, which some people don't seem to realise that we've actually got a maintenance department to looking after our buildings, ranging from electricians, plumbers, building side, joinery. I've been here for 27 years, like I've just said. It's because it's a nice place to work.
I started working here in 2004 as a maintenance assistant. 3 years into working for the trust, I got the chance to do an apprenticeship, electrical apprenticeship, which I took. 5 years later, qualified electrician, and I've been working for the trust now for about 17.5 years. So it's been good to me. They spent a lot of money on me, training me up and getting me to a good standard. And this is basically my way of repaying them for putting their trust in me and spending all that money.
So thanks very much for supporting me, because they're very supportive, the staff here. Thank you to my managers, because they're supportive as well. And yeah, that's it really.
Yeah, the Estates and Facilities Day is a great idea, making awareness of what exactly we do within the trusts, making sure that all the electrical, plumbing, everything's safe for the staff and the patients to use basically.
It's porters, cleaning staff, janitors, caterers, they're all behind the scenes. It's people you may not see, because automatically people come to a hospital and expect to see nurses, doctors. We're sort of in the background and forgot about.
Yeah, I think everybody does a great job, from
Combined, we celebrate our people and team's fantastic track record in securing achievements, awards and accolades. Here's our Chair David Rogers to introduce our next item.
Many thanks, Claire. As Claire said, at Combined Healthcare, we're always keen to celebrate the fantastic things that our people and teams do. Whether that's delivering brilliant, compassionate care, developing innovations and new services, or securing external or national recognition. One of my most pleasurable experiences each year is hosting our annual Reach Awards, our showcase event. But we don't just want to celebrate achievement once a year. We want to do it continually. And CTV is one way in which we're able to do so. I hope you enjoy this next item, which gives you just one further example of just how and why we are proud to be outstanding in all we do and how we do it.
As Rich told you, we installed the internet on our computer just a short time ago, and I haven't been able to get the kids off it ever since.
Not only do they play the typical computer games that all the kids enjoy, but their curiosity for learning has skyrocketed. Peter is constantly quoting sports statistics, and he can tell you the best surfing spots around the globe.
I do my little turn on the catwalk.
I worked for many years as a contractor on a lot of the NHS sites, a lot of the old hospitals that shut down, your Westcliffs, your Stallingtons, obviously where I started at St Edwards. And I'd spoken to a lot of the maintenance chaps and I knew a lot of them inside out. And they always just say, if ever there's a job comes up on the NHS, Young, get your name down for it, it's a job for life. And I thought, it'll probably be for a few years, yeah. And 32 years later, it more or less is a job for life because I'm still here. First day would be my guided tour of St Edwards, and it's probably one of my fondest memories actually. Although I'd seen a lot of St Edwards, obviously as a contractor, there were certain bits I didn't see. But I always remember being led down the main entrance corridor at St Edwards into the Great Hall and thinking, wow, what a place that was. And that's one of my really fond memories of St Edwards, was that hall and some of the Christmas parties and plays that were on with, you know, the residents that put them on and the staff. And St Edwards was just like a big family. It wasn't a hospital, it was a big family, and it was lovely. The use of medication is probably one of the biggest changes I've seen, because obviously although I came into the maintenance side initially, I didn't come into the physiotherapy side. Medication was a very, very important. It seemed to be the first point of call, whereas now, the team I work with now, the care home liaison, we have a MDT every week with Dr. Becky Chubb, and when it comes to medication now on the care homes, medication is the last on the list. We will try everything else first. So although medication has come on and been developed, it's actually taken a step back now and it's not the first point of call. We will try everything before we go on to the medication. We had a gentleman in a local nursing home who we got asked to review for his mobility and his transfers, and he was hoisted. And he was adamant that he could do more. His wife couldn't look after him at home, and she was there, and she was upset, obviously. And we said we'd give him a good shot. So myself and the technician who was working with me, which was Rob at the time, went in and we did a couple sessions a week with him to build his strength up, to get him going. And every time I go to this home now, this guy walks past me up and down the corridor with a frame and goes, "Hi Andy, how are you?" And I say, "I'm all right, Roy, how are you?" That's what makes the job worthwhile. The NHS, it's great because it works, it's free at the point of call, and it's staffed and run by people that really do care. Congratulations to all my work colleagues that have got more than 30 years service within the NHS.
At Combined, we celebrate our people and team's fantastic track record in securing achievements, awards and accolades. Here's our Chair David Rogers to introduce our next item.
Many thanks, Claire. As Claire said, at Combined Healthcare, we're always keen to celebrate the fantastic things that our people and teams do. Whether that's delivering brilliant, compassionate care, developing innovations and new services, or securing external or national recognition. One of my most pleasurable experiences each year is hosting our annual Reach Awards, our showcase event. But we don't just want to celebrate achievement once a year. We want to do it continually. And CTV is one way in which we're able to do so. I hope you enjoy this next item, which gives you just one further example of just how and why we are proud to be outstanding in all we do and how we do it.
Sorry, Doris, just take your glasses off.
Yeah.
Up and over there.
Have a look at your eyes, Doris, for the torch. Okay?
It does make you realise though when we take people's glasses off and hearing aids that what we actually do to them. I know it's, do you know what I mean? It's like everything went, it was already a bit blurred and then it went completely blurred and then you just hear all these voices. So yeah, it is good. It does make you think.
After coming out of that wheel, because it's all consuming, so you're looking around and you're literally in the room as with the environment around you. It was very well put together, really good.
And what did you think about what you saw? Did you feel like you were experiencing it from the point of view of the patient?
Yeah, you did. I think it was really helpful to see the changeable presentations, and that 1 minute sort of everything was clear, then the next minute it was all very fuzzy and there was sirens going off and there was smoke coming out the vents, and again seeing how the patient would have interpreted what the staff were doing as well.
Surreal. Yeah, it's very strange really. It's it really is. But I mean, quite beneficial. I think to actually give that insight into what the patients are actually experiencing, I suppose, is very interesting for us, because obviously we see it on a regular basis here, but we don't really know what it's like for that patient to actually to suffer from delirium.
Yeah.
So really. Very powerful, I would say. It's all the colours and all the things and whatnot with the hallucinations, and the VR really does capture that quite well. So.
Oh God, it's me they're talking about. It's going to be me next.
It's completely immersive to be able to sit there and have a patient's view of what
it feels like when we go up to patients, we remove their senses, so we take away their hearing, we take away their sight. Obviously on ITU we give them all the drugs that can increase delirium, to be able to get the patient's perspective, to feel so small and not be able to do anything about those things and get my senses back to how they should be. It feels really disempowering, so you can't do anything to help yourself at all. I think that's a really good tool to teach delirium, because I'll certainly go back into my practice and think about what I'm doing to patients, maybe take the extra few seconds to explain what I'm going to do and why I'm going to do it as well, which I think is important. It's not just about what's going on, it's why you're doing those things, to help try and rationalise in that patient's mind that isn't thinking rationally what is going on and where they are and what they're doing.
Oh my God, she looks terrified.
When she hadn't got her glasses on, you could see things. I thought there was food on the table, but it wasn't food, it was actually just a blanket. So you can now understand why people are reaching for things, and you know how they try and eat and drink out of things that you just think, I thought there were bananas on the table, it wasn't, it was a blanket. Yes, it's actually quite scary. And then at one point they wheeled a patient in, but it looked like a dead body because it was covered, which would be absolutely petrifying. And nobody explained why they were wheeling people in and out. So yeah, really quite scary.
I think when I saw two people with the virtual reality on, what struck me is that normally someone experiences delirium, you don't see, it's invisible. But by having the virtual reality on, it's like that barrier between you and them, and you realise how just isolated that person is, because they've got almost this barrier of the delirium surrounding them. And it was just seeing that how vulnerable they are and how isolated. This just makes them, and even if people approach them, they're still disconnected. The delirium's causing that layer of disconnect, really. That's what I observed. I've nursed plenty of people with delirium, so I think I'm aware of the process and the effect. But I've never just seen that moment of vulnerability, that moment of disconnect quite so clearly as just seeing it there, really.
So listen, I'm here with Dr. Becky Chubb from Combined Healthcare, who's the consultant psychiatrist for older people. Yep, and the VR training film that we've done was, in actual fact, Becky's idea, completely Becky's idea. And hearing some of the reflections over the morning of people of how they've experienced it and what it's brought to them, the impact, you must be absolutely delighted.
I am. I'm so pleased. That the idea was to really put the person in the patient's shoes, so that you really get to experience what it might be like to have an episode of delirium. And I think the other thing that I've learned from you guys is that actually it's really helpful as well to just see somebody else using the VR tool rather than just only experiencing yourself, which was something is an added benefit I didn't realise.
And what have you learned from seeing that?
I think just it's another way of using it, isn't it? That you don't have to have the VR headset on, because it might not be for everybody. Not everybody feels comfortable putting the VR headset on, but actually there's still loads to be learned, even if you're in the room and you're learning with somebody else, which is fabulous.